So anyway, we're gonna go to the lack of integration. The unemployment rates among Muslim migrants are higher because they refuse to work. Okay, because they refuse to work in certain places, okay, to be precise. And I'm gonna mention the list of which places are not good for them. When in places where alcohol is sold, where men and women mingle, if they have a female boss. In addition, Muslim women aren't expected to work, as I have mentioned, because that duty is of the man. And in fact, they are discouraged in case their honor may be jeopardized. Refugee women are often pregnant the year after they arrive, and 70% of asylum seeker men said it would be a problem if their wife earned more than them. Now, going a little bit back to this list. The reason I don't want to work in places where alcohol is sold is because it's haram, which is prohibited. It's prohibited for a Muslim to drink alcohol. Or apparently being near a drop of alcohol. The second one, even though they get drunk, and that's how they also grape women, but logic doesn't apply to them. Now, men and women cannot mingle. They cannot mingle also in their mosques. Women are in the back part, or if not, in another section, for women. Because if a woman is besides a man during a prayer, the man obviously is gonna get distracted by the woman, no matter her age. It doesn't matter if she's a girl of 9 years old or if she's a old woman of 80 years old. And even if she's in a burqa, if she is close to him, the urges can arrive. So anyway, let's continue with this now. And well, imagine if it's a female boss, like a complete insult. Another area in which they underperformed is in education, because they are taught different curriculums from the compared to the majority of the population, as in the country, due to sensitive topics such as sex education, homosexuality, terrorism, and slavery. Also, discipline is low in order to keep the peace in these schools. One example is a Dutch school which was closed in 2015 due to social tensions among its ethnic population. Teachers couldn't guarantee the students' safety. So yeah, what do you do? We will see. Don't worry. We will see a solution to all of this. It starts obviously by talking about it. Okay, another issue is the neighborhoods. When they get, because in the neighborhoods, these are vulnerable areas or no-go zone areas, particularly for women, but it's also for white. And authorities they want to avoid words like ghettos, vulnerable areas, no-go zones of these neighborhoods, even when it's well known that crime is higher there. Okay, so now in Swedish, police defined parallel societies, which are these neighborhoods, as alternative societies where criminals and religious leaders run the streets. In these parallel societies, there is no respect for their new country or their culture. For example, in Sweden, the number of parallel societies or vulnerable areas has gone from 15 to 23 in recent years. And this book was published in 2021. So who knows? The number might be higher. Most likely it's higher. Now, there is another thing that says, or everyone speaks Arabic, so why should I learn Swedish? That was a direct quotation from one of the people living in these neighborhoods. I guess makes sense if your entire neighborhood speaks Arabic and you work also there, and you don't are not that much in contact with Danish, well, with Swedish people, but I mean, I would expect, I mean, just as I expect people to speak Spanish here, you know, immigrants, I would assume Swedish expect their immigrants to learn Swedish. Well, in Copenhagen neighborhoods, they use the phrase being too Danish as a slur. In Stockholm, Rinkeby, I think, sorry if I mispronounce, young men approach white people asking why are they in their neighborhood. In the UK, Manningham belongs to Muslims. We don't want whites. We rule Bradford. We are going to get you out. That was a direct quotation of what they have said. Many Muslims believe that they are superior as both spiritual and political doctrine. Islam presents itself as a superior. Even if the West offers greater economic and personal freedom to Muslim migrants, its moral system is seen as inferior. Because apparently, allowing women to show their hair is morally inferior. Anyway, many Muslims are told by their friends and family before going to these European countries, direct quotation, take care when entering morally degrading society. My opinion, I mean, I don't know, my statement of this is like, if it's so morally degrading, why are you going there? Now, these parallel societies, what it makes, it's at the end of the day, it's like a cultural cocoon. As we have seen, they don't even learn the language, you know, and this generates other problems, like for example, children attend schools with few pupils outside their ethnic and religious group. So they keep, you know, it's like an echo chamber. In UK, 60% of ethnic minority students attend schools in which most students are minority. In addition to this, the TV and movies they watch are from overseas, meaning in Arabic language. If they get to go on vacations, they will be going to their home countries or their parents' country of origin. When the size of and then this, of course, all of this is like, when the size of an immigrant community increases, its members' interactions with the native population decreases, meaning they are creating like tiny countries from where they escape in European countries because of these neighborhoods, because they do not mingle with the native population. An Austrian politician, Evgeny Donmes, himself a Turkish immigrant, observed that more than 400 Turkish associations and community groups exist in Austria. These groups are organized around religion, culture, and politics, and still they come at the bottom of integration. They have the worst outcomes in education, crime, and labor market. Of course, there is a correlation. As we have seen, it's Islam, because it promotes misogyny, because it promotes segregation. Like, it's like, you keep with yourself, don't mingle with non-Muslims because morally inferior. If you keep to yourself, obviously you're gonna keep encouraging this same type of mentality. They don't even learn the language. I could say that's a minimum. It's the minimum any immigrant should do, to learn the language of the country you're migrating to. And I mean, not immediately, but at least eventually. Now we're gonna compare them with other immigrants. Let's start with the Jews. The Jews have enjoyed, hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly, they have enjoyed exceptional economic social and cultural success in the Western world. And they have been heavily mistreated. One example is the Holocaust. So we cannot say that we cannot use discrimination as an excuse for Muslims for the lack of integration. Because even I would argue that they don't suffer from discrimination. If anything, they are the ones that discriminate white people, in their own country, Europe. I mean, Sweden, Austria, to name it. That are the Jews. So the Jews, I mean, we know that they excel at whatever they set their mind into. Now we go with the Vietnamese. The Vietnamese fled war, communism, and poverty. When they arrived and lived on welfare and had no language skills nor high education, yet after a couple of decades, they integrated and learned the language. Many maintain their customs, language, and religious beliefs. Obviously, I'm not saying, nor Ayaan, that it will take decades for them to learn the language. Of course not. But it's like they are by now well integrated into those societies. Even when they kept their own culture, you can keep your culture and still acquire your new culture. They shouldn't be opposed. It shouldn't be an issue. If your original culture doesn't tell you that it's an issue. Okay, the Dutch, this is an interesting one. The Dutch sociologist Ruud Koopman, what he observed. Christians and Muslims fled the civil war from Lebanon to Australia in 1970s. They arrived with the same circumstances. Muslims Lebanese underperformed compared to the Christian Lebanese on education, labor markets, and income. This is actually very important to highlight. They were experiencing the same in Lebanon, their country, their home country. And they have the same culture in Lebanon. But what is the one thing that they didn't have in common? Their religion. And then one underperformed and one outperformed the other one. Now we go to the UK. In the UK, 3 groups of people are the ones that we're gonna see: Pakistanis, Indians, and Bangladeshis. They started with the same conditions. Hindus and Sikhs outperformed or were on par with the native populations. But Muslims, especially Muslim women, underperformed. Like people that come from the same country but with different religions, and we can see who are the ones that integrate and who are the ones that don't. Now we go to the grooming gangs. I will not be talking too much about this, because she didn't, Ayaan didn't talk that much about grooming gangs. I think it's one chapter, if it's even a chapter. I think it's a chapter. So anyway, again, this was in 2021 when it was published, and we are seeing the scandal in now 2025. This has been going around for a lot of years. Okay, numerous have been exposed in the UK in Rochdale. Numerous grooming gangs have been exposed in UK in Rochdale, Telford, Newcastle, Peterborough, Sheffield, Rotherham, Huddersfield, Oxford, and Bristol. Now, I recently saw a video where the number of cities or these places, it has increased. It's not just in these places in the UK. In the UK, it has become worse than in other countries, at least that we know so far. Anyway, these men that are in the grooming gangs, they lured their victims with gifts such as food, alcohol, drugs, phone cards. But these gifts turned out to be payment for sex. Girls as young as 11 years old have been coerced into having sex with groups of men. They target girls from lower class. They go after vulnerable girls. Because in the UK it's particularly children, the one they go after. As I have been mentioning, as in the book mentions, it's women of all ages. But in the UK it's particularly children. That's why it's so important to everyone to understand the root of the problem. I mean, that is if you care for children's safety, of course, or women's safety, or your population's safety, for when it's right. I mean, come on. Anyway, in the UK, there is the counter-extremism organization William, I believe, published a report in 2017 examining the background of the perpetrators. Of the 264 perpetrators convicted, 84% were Asian. Because I will talk about it. Well, these Asian are particularly from India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. And how we have been seeing in the news, these men are particularly from Pakistan. 8% were black, 7% white, and 1% unknown. Most of these men had Arabic names. Although not everyone were from the Arab world, many had been born in Great Britain to Pakistani migrants. Most of their victims are white. I don't know why some people have a problem acknowledging that racism exists everywhere. It's not only white people being racist towards brown, black. As in, obviously it applies the same way. Black, brown people, Latin can be racist against other people, like it's not just something that white people do. Like, it's not like only white people can behave badly. Clearly we have seen that other types of cultures of races can behave in atrocious ways. In Newcastle, one member of a grooming gang told a female ticket inspector, and I am quoting directly, "All white women are only good for one thing, for men like me to F and use like trash. That's all women like you are worth." This is a type of people that European countries are importing. And it will continue to be that way until you want to actually look at the problem. Now, they come from gender segregated societies that abhors the free movement of women in public, and they see no reason to alter their views. I have provided several evidence during the entire video. Okay, what makes things worse? Now we're gonna go to, because this is what these Muslim men have been doing, which are the crimes, which are horrible. But what is that the rest of the people, white non-Muslims, are doing, or is that they are remaining ignorant about the problem? One thing is to be ignorant, one thing is to not want to talk about the problem, which we're gonna see later on. Right now it's the ignorance. If you didn't know what Islam was, now you know a little bit more. And I mean, obviously it's not all Muslim people. A lot of Muslims have actually integrated to societies. A lot of Muslims have left Islam. And it was thanks to the free world. However, I mean, I want to believe that the majority of people have the brain to distinguish between someone that wants to impose their backwards way of thinking versus one that has a religion but wants to integrate because wants to enjoy the freedom that the free world can provide. So, going back to the ignorance. This book was published in 2021. And so this, what I'm gonna say, it's from back then. I want to believe this is no longer the case. Many Swedes hadn't heard of grooming gangs in the UK or the lover boys in Netherlands. I don't think I have mentioned the lover boys, but it's kind of the same. It's when these men would make, well, they would make believe the younger girls that they are their boyfriend, only so that they can traffic them eventually, well, pimp them around. So those are the lover boys. Probably by now or today, some people haven't heard of the lover boys because it's not a scandal at this point. But I want to believe about the grooming gangs, everyone knows by now, at least in Europe, especially in these countries that I am mentioning. Okay, so well, and these lover boys were particularly from Morocco. And well, I just said it, but it's like Moroccan men that cheated girls by made them believe they were their boyfriends, only to pimp them into having sex with groups of men. This was in the early 2000s in Netherlands. This has been going around for quite a while, so I really think it's very relevant and urgent to know about the issue.